What's your opinion on AD carries? Do you think they're fine right now with the top 10 highest win rate champions being like mages? Just because mages have a higher win rate than AD carries in bot lane does not mean they're necessarily stronger than AD carries. Mages in bot lane, to be close to viable down there, probably are going to have higher win rates than AD carries. If we nerfed mages to have like a 50% or lower win rate in bot lane, like the average mage, it probably just wouldn't make them, it wouldn't make them fair, it would make them legitimately bad. Like, we generally just see that mages tend to have higher win rates. Similar to how, as an example, Jhin is probably terrible at 49% win rate. He tends to sit higher. Jinx is probably terrible at 49% win rate. She tends to sit higher. Certain characters, and I think mages tend to fall into this camp, tend to sit on the higher end. There's a big difference between, you know, Ziggs chilling at 52, 53, and Ziggs chilling at 58. It could be that some mages are OP down there right now. But talk about like how win rates affect laning and things like that, and something you need to think about, especially when a lane is very homogenous. Sometimes when a character is winning in a lane, it might just be that they're like decent against what's meta there. So I'll give you the example. Here's a way to think about it. Let's say there's only 2 mid laners in the entire game, just 2, YasuO and Yone, and they're perfectly balanced. They both have a 50% win rate. Perfectly balanced. Wow, we really did it, everybody. We kicked all those obnoxious other champs out of mid lane, so it can finally be brother versus brother every single game. YasuO and Yone, 50-50, coin flipping every game. 2 champs. Okay? Now imagine we saw that meta with only 2 champions, YasuO and Yone, 50% win rate, both perfectly balanced against each other. And we said, you know what, we need to shake up the meta. And so we made a character called Sibling HATER. And Sibling HATER counters champions who are brothers. They just get like, you know, plus 80% damage against champions who are brothers. Sibling HATER really knows how to just destroy the YasuO and Yone meta. And Sibling HATER comes out. My question for you is, let's say Sibling HATER ends up then getting like a 10% play rate and YasuO and Yone stay at like 45% play rates. Sibling HATER's win rate, what does that character's win rate have to be for them to actually be effective at countering YasuO and Yone? Do you see what I'm getting at here? If Sibling HATER came out and their win rate was the same as YasuO and Yone's, then that character is probably not able to do their job because they're just playing against those characters every game and they're not actually beating them. If you only tuned based off of win rate and Sibling HATER came out and had a higher win rate because they countered YasuO and Yone, who would we end up nerfing? Again, if we only tuned by win rate. We'd nerf the counter. And then YasuO and Yone would then continue to be solidified as the only 2 champions in this imaginary scenario, right? And so it's, what I'm trying to do here is kind of unpack that when like looking at win rates, there's always more to the story. And one of the things to think about with win rates in regards to when a lane is homogenous and then a character goes into that lane and potentially counters the homogenous thing, that counter's win rate might look higher than it would be than it might be. And if you nerfed it to have the same win rate as everything else there, it could actually be legitimately weak at doing its job.